Good evening, I'm the Game Tutor, and tonight we're going to be reviewing SLay the Spire, out now on PC, and of course what I've been playing it on, which is Nintendo Switch. Now, truth be told, SLay the Spire was never a game that I intended to review on this site. I never requested a review copy, and I didn't really find the game at all until it was released on the Switch a while ago. I picked it up on recommendation for a friend, and all I can say is that SLay the Spire is one of the main reasons why I've barely played anything else in the last month and a half. In its most basic form, SLay the Spire is a roguelike deck building game which sees you advance through a branching path of rooms full of fights, shops and events leading up to the battle with the boss and a final secret boss once you have fulfilled a number of different requirements. In reality, however, SLay the Spire is one of the most compelling games that I've ever played, and also definitely that I've played in a very long time. But the weirdest thing about it is I find it quite difficult to actually explain what about it makes it so unbelievably addictive and compelling. Now, SLay the Spire has been out in early access on PC for quite a while, and developer Mega Games have obviously spent this time balancing it to the point where there is often a very fine line between success and failure. When I first started playing the game, I originally felt that the permanent upgrades that you gain as you progress were not of any real significant value, but in reality the knowledge and practice that you have of the mechanics, the enemies, the bosses and the way the game works is actually the thing that allows you to progress further as you slowly get better, albeit helped by a few key cards and relics. Now, currently in the game there are three characters to choose from: the Ironclad, the Silent or the Defect. Now, each of these characters has their own distinct playstyle and affect the way that you have to manage the game. The Ironclad is a lot about attacking straight on, using his own self-healing ability to allow you to play a more riskier style of combat. The Silent uses either poisons, which slowly tick away over time, or shivs that you can generate and have extra uses to slowly eat away at the enemy's health. And the Defect, who's possibly the more complex of the three, it sees you use an orb charging system that you can generate via a number of different cards to cast spells automatically at the end of turns, or at other times if you have the right card synergy. Now, the game itself does not alter when you play as a different character, but the way you must approach the game does differ enough that the extra characters do add longevity, and I do hope the rumours of a fourth character being added further down the line are true. Regardless of you choose, the start of the game with a fairly weak set of cards, and as you progress beating monsters, unlocking treasure chests and encountering events, you slowly unlock better and better cards. Now, the card that you choose is the key mechanic of the gameplay. When I first started playing the game, I would always choose what I understood to be the most powerful card out of the three. But as you progress and your skill improves, you realise that card synergy is actually more important than kind of separate power, and actually sometimes the best card to take is actually not to take a card at all. Now, there are very few powerful cards. Some of these are such as Echo, for which makes the first card you play each turn for the rest of the fight being played twice, and Apotheosis, that essentially upgrades every single card in your deck for the rest of the fight. These types of cards do make the game a lot easier when you find them, but it's quite unlikely that you will find them on an average run. As well as cards, a key mechanic in the game are relics. Now, relics are permanent upgrades that provide a passive bonus for the rest of the run. Each character stat with one relic, and these generally work around the flavour of that character. The Ironclad starts with the relic that gives him +6 health at the end of every combat. The Defect starts the ability to channel one lightning orb, and the Silent draws additional cards. As you progress through the game, however, there are a number of different powerful relics that you can find along the way, and if you plan to make the synergy of your deck, you can end up with some very powerful card relic combinations. Now, as you go through the game, it gets increasingly more difficult, which is hopefully mitigated by your ever increasingly stronger deck. But this does not always work out the case, as there is with any roguelike with a strong element of RNG. When everything does, however, fall into place, the game is extremely satisfying and incredibly enjoying to make it through a run. After you finish the game with the main characters, you unlock Ascension mode, which allows you to play through the game with various modifiers and make it more difficult. There are a number of reliable strategies that work with most characters, the main one generally being to stack a really large amount of defence and then use a few offensive cards that you have to slowly whittle down the enemy's health. This works particularly well with the Silent and the Defect. Now this is an effective strategy against almost all creatures apart from the odd one or two that snowball as their attack or defense as the fight continues. Now apart from the main game, there's also a daily run which sees you tackle the game with some very significant modifiers that are not possible in the main game, such as starting the deck with a random set of 30 rare cards or having a mixed deck from different characters. It is therefore a little disappointing that the online leaderboard found in the PC version is not available in the Switch release, and as of recording I really hope they add this in a future update. There have definitely been some issues with gameplay and stability in the Switch version, and the game definitely slows down in places, the most noticeable being against the first major boss where the game freezes whenever his torch lights. I equally found myself playing in handheld mode on several occasions where the controls stopped responding and I had to move a card around manually with my finger on the touchscreen in order to get them to respond again. Now these are light annoyances, but they are something I would definitely like to see improved in a future update. Overall, however, SLay the Spire is one of the most addictive and compelling roguelikes I've ever played. It's a perfect deck building game. A mix of compelling characters, interesting decks, and a very well balanced system makes this an outstanding game that I really cannot recommend enough, even for people who are fairly new to the genre. The game will definitely be featuring in our Game of the Year list later this year.